Good morning, everyone. Aditya, still discussions going on. So there are some new faces I don't know of. Can you introduce yourself? Yashaswini. What are you doing? BBA. Which college? AMC. Okay. I have met you, but I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Tejas. Oh, you were coming for the morning. Okay. Can I know your name? Yeah. Third year. Oh, Christ University. I'm an alumni. Your name I forgot. Can you tell me? Huh? Manjula. Okay. Kirtana, right? Okay. And your name? Yashaswini. The other's name I know. I've been seeing from a long time. So, let us start with international relations. Okay. So, have you anybody have attended? No one has attended my class before. Okay. First, starting with the question, what is international relations? What is international relations according to you? Anybody can answer. Relation between two countries. It's as simple as that. But why do we need to have relationship between two countries? Purpose of trade. Okay.
Because we have needs like to like be it like trade or be it other like for example any relations like we have to send people or like people come from other countries to our country.
Other countries to our countries. Okay. And then defense. Who told defense? Okay. Why defense? Okay. Are all the countries our friends? No, right? So that means even our neighbors are not our friends. If you see the situation in like our South Asia, right? In South Asia, not all of the countries are friends. So that is why we need defense. If any time somebody attacks, next to us, the closest one is Pakistan. Pakistan is our enemy country, and again China. China is our enemy country. And anywhere in the world you go, the countries which are next to each other will always have some sort of rivalries going on. And majorly for what? Land. Majorly for land. They fight for the land. That means, even today, the world believes that the more land you have, the more authority you have, the more supreme you are, right? So what is happening in Israel right now? Last year we had this war, this Gaza crisis, a lot of people died. And now the Israel attacked Iran, and that is like affecting, it is not affecting only that region, but it is affecting all the other countries altogether. Anywhere conflict happens, it is going to have this ripple effect, because now today's world, it is globally connected. We are all globally connected. We are dependent on each other, right? We are dependent on China also, and China is dependent on us. So even though we are having that rivalry with India and China, but still both of us need each other right now, because we buy so many of the products from China, semiconductors and all of that, and China needs market like India, a huge market. Okay, we will see how much market actually the China has, what kind of relationship we have, and all of that very closely. So international relation, it is going to take a little bit longer time, because it is a very important topic in the aspect of prelims as well as the mains. Okay. So in prelims, what kind of questions you can expect from international relations is, mainly if there is some conflict happening. So anybody writing exam this year? Okay, others are not writing, people I know. So what kind of questions they ask from international relations is, any conflict that is happening. So from there they pick, for example, now the Iran is being attacked, the war is going on in Iran. So they'll ask the geography around it. Next to Iran, what are the bordering countries of Iran? You know, which water body is there? And Strait of Hormuz, that is in news, right? So what connects what? Like the Strait of Hormuz connects which two water bodies? So the questions will come from that. And we have some international, what do you say, multilateral groupings. Multilateral groupings, like, you know, we have this NATO. You have all heard of NATO, right? Yes or no? What is NATO? Anybody? Okay. So that we heard a lot of when this Russia-Ukraine war was happening, and still it is not resolved, it's still in conflict, that region is still in conflict. So, you know, NATO. So they can ask what are the member countries of NATO. We have SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We have the BRICS. Now, you know, new countries have been joined to the BRICS. So now they have 11 members in BRICS. So what are the countries that newly joined? So those kind of questions we can expect in prelims. Clear? Mainly the mapping, the conflict, the places which are in news, they will ask mapping directly. So when actually this Ukraine and Russia war was happening, right? So they asked the bordering countries of Ukraine, okay, which were the countries that were bordering. And this Afghanistan, you know, the Taliban rule came and the US withdraw from Afghanistan, right? That was in news, and they asked the bordering countries of Afghanistan that time, in that year UPSC paper. So this is how the questions is going to come from the prelims. And for that, you know, you have to know each country where it is located. And I am going to make sure that whoever attends my class, they should be knowing the map very well. Knowing mapping is very important for IR. You might think that is something related to geography, but no. The locality of where a country is located is really important in the aspect of international relations. Like for example, the Iran example only. So it is at the choke point where the major trade, where the major oil trade happens. If that gets blocked, you know, if it is Iran is controlling that, then it is going to impact the other countries all over the world. And we saw the LPG prices going up. We had an LPG crisis because we are mainly dependent on those Middle East countries. So you should know where, suddenly if they ask where is Venezuela, you should be knowing where exactly is Venezuela and the countries around it, which region it comes, which continent it comes, everything. So before, you know, talking that, I will make sure that everybody learns all of the regions, all of the countries you should know by heart. Okay. And then when we come to this mains, so mains IR comes in which paper? IR comes in which paper, guys? Huh? Geography. Geography comes in. You all forgot about that only. You should be knowing that the syllabus of what you are studying for, right? So in GS1 we have history, geography, social issues. These are the main topics that, you know, paper 1, that is GS1 talks about. And GS2 we have political science, and then we have this international relations comes there only, and then we have governance. Okay, this all comes in the paper 2. And paper 3, that is GS3, we have economics, science, environment. Okay, all of this comes there. And GS4 is your ethics paper, and you have one essay paper and then 2 optional. So this is the idea. So this IR comes in paper 2, GS2. Okay. So the questions that can be asked from IR in mains is, you know, 2 10 markers and 2 15 markers will be there. 2 10 markers, 2 15 marker questions. So that comes up to 50 marks. Out of 250, 50 marks is coming from IR only. So it is way important, very, very important. You can easily get that 50 marks in IR. Because, you know, the questions that will be asked is from what is happening in the last 1 year. You know, they can ask about the Iran conflict. This year paper, they can ask what can India do about it? Or what are the impacts that India has? and how India can deal with it and all of that. So questions will come only mostly from the current affairs, what has been happening in the last 1 year around the world. Okay, so they can ask about the BRICS. I told you the new members have been joined to BRICS now. So they can ask question about BRICS, like how we can strengthen BRICS, why BRICS is important and all of that. So that I'll discuss as we move on, like I'll give you some questions of mains also, so you'll get an idea about it. Okay. So like you all told that international relation, it's basically defined as the study of relationship between this nation states and the other factors, like I told you multilateral groupings, right? We have Quad and all of that multilateral grouping, it plays an important role, and also other other actors in the global stage is like, for example, is UN, United Nations. Although it is like not that effective, the UN right now. The main purpose of the forming UN was to bring world peace, okay, so that ellu conflict agbardu, there should be no conflicts in the world, but that is not the case, right? Conflicts is still happening. So all this idea came from the World War, the World War I, World War II. So from there, they started to having that we should bring peace among the countries, but I think humans cannot exist in peace. They want to have these conflicts, right? One always tries to be supreme. So now even India wants to be that, what they refer to as the Prime Minister of our country as the Vishwa Guru and all of that, but I don't know whether it is really true or not. But yeah, and they put forward that India is like that peace-loving country and we advocate peace and all of that. But on a global stage, we have to portray India as, we are that good only. But internally, we have some conflicts against our Prime Minister or other state actors. Yeah, that is always should be there. In democracy, the main thing is, the ability to ask questions. We should have the freedom to ask question to the government. If we cannot ask question to the government, then it is not democracy. It becomes authoritarian, like what happens in Russia, what happens in China. They cannot question the government, basically. The people cannot question the government. So I hope India does not go there to that extreme level, but yeah, we'll see. So these are the dimensions that we are going to look forward when we are talking about, bilateral relation especially. What is the relationship between India and China, India and USA, India and Germany. So all of these countries, we are going to look in these dimensions. First one is the historical aspect. Historical in the sense, what is happening from the beginning of our freedom, that is, from 1947, how the relationship has been maintained with each of the country. The history matters. Okay, without knowing the history, we cannot understand what is happening right now. Okay, the history in the respect of how, initially USA and India did not have a very good relationship the initial few years, because we were more tilted towards this Russia. Okay, we were more closer to Russia, so India and USA did not have that good relationship initially. So we have to understand history, why India and USA did not have that relationship, and eventually as we came, then we became neutral. We stopped, not so much tilted towards Russia, and we started building relationship with US also. So we have to understand history, and what we have this India-China wars that has happened. So we have to list all of that, India-Pakistan wars, what were the wars that happened, to understand what is the current situation. So history is very important when we come to IR, with each of the, that is not all countries, but some important countries like USA, Russia, India, China, Pakistan and China and Afghanistan. All of this we are going to see in detail. Okay. And then geographical, I told you where the country lies is very important. Okay, because if some country that is landlocked, for example, Nepal is a landlocked country, so it has to, you know, depend on India for trade. So because India has this, you know, connected to the water bodies, right? So Nepal has to depend on India. That means Nepal should have a good relationship with India for in order for them to survive. So that is why the geography matters in having that relationships. Okay. And then political scenarios. What are their political ideologies that we have? If you go to the Western countries, there is mostly what kind of polity? What they like basically capitalism, right? If you go to the Western side, that is USA and some countries in the Europe and all of that, they are capitalist regimes. And then if you come to the Eastern side, communism. The major thing that drove this Cold War, we are going to discuss what is Cold War, was this ideology only, the capitalism and the communism. So I will discuss that capitalism and communism and what kind of political scenario today they have. Okay, today what they have, that is also becomes an important part. And then security. Security is basically that comes under defense. Okay, and we have a lot of defense deals, right? With USA we have defense deal, with France we have defense deals, this Rafale jet that we buy, and from Russia that what is that, S-400 that anti-missile system, you know, that's which stops the missiles, that we have taken from Russia only. Okay, so that is important. We need defense equipments like all of it. We cannot manufacture everything in India, and those countries are like superpower in arms, basically Russia, USA and all. So we need to have that good relationship to at least have this technology transfer. So now India is actually focusing on, you know, building everything in India only, right? So the technology transfer is important. Defense aspect is very important when we come to the international relations. Okay, that is one part of security. And trade and economy is closely related, right? That we will see, and cultural aspects. You know, there are so many cultural aspects, like you said that people come here, people to people exchanges happen here. You know, many of the people from other countries, they come to Indian institutes in India, right? And this research happens by collaborations with institutions in India and other countries like Germany, we go to Britain and USA. Most of them have these collaborations in research aspect. So cultural also is very important, and we have something like, you know, what is it called, sister cities. So you know, some city, like for example, let us take South Korea. South Korea's capital is Seoul, right? And in India, some capital like Indore or something, they make them sister cities. What happens, you know, every year, so you know, some cultural events happens in Seoul that is related to India, and Seoul's cultural events will happen in Indore. So they make them sister cities basically to have that cultural exchange among people. Okay, so these are the main dimensions that we are going to see. So before you know, actually jumping into India's foreign policy, let us have a brief. I know most of you attended world history, right? How many of you attended world history? Lekika? Huh? You didn't attend? Half and half. Manjunath, Nenpidya? World War. And after that there was some, I think, other topics that were discussed, right? Tumba intense, it was very intense, no? World War, I mean sorry, world history. Too much to... So I am not going to go that deeper into what was taught in world history, because that is like too much for us to in respect of IR, but we have to know the basic understanding of what happened, because World War is where, you know, the relationships formed and many relationships were broken during this World War time. So we will start our international relation right from the World War, and we will see, we will go through it, and then we will come to India's foreign policy, and then I will we'll move on to the relationship in South Asia, with each of the countries, what kind of relationship we have, and then we'll move to Southeast Asia, like that, and all of the countries. We'll try to cover all of the countries one by one. So that is how it is going to go, but it will take a longer time to finish IR. So you should be ready for that. Okay. Just give me a second. So this image is not that good, but yeah. World War I happened during 1914 and 1918. So most of your modern history has been done, no? Modern history. Huh? So 1914 to 1918, what was happening in India? Independence. Okay, independence movement, freedom struggle was going on. Exactly what phase? Huh? Requesting for dominion status, okay. Gandhi era, right? Before, little before this World War only, Gandhi actually came to India, and then he started, touring India, actually, right? Remember? And then Gandhi also told that, during this World War time, we should not actually, ask, like, we should help Britain, in fact. That time Gandhi had told, we should not ask freedom now, and Britain is already in distress, it was involved in this world war. This is not the right time for us to ask freedom. So we should actually support during the World War I, not in the World War II, that was a different case. But in World War I, he told like that, okay. Yeah, even during the World War I also. Okay. But then there was, during World War II, there was oppositions, like, if Britain was actually fighting for freedom, then India should also fight for freedom, right? Britain was involved in war because of freedom only. So that time, Subhash Chandra Bose and all, they opposed during the World War II. But World War I, nobody majorly opposed at that time, okay? But during World War II, there was some oppositions, okay. So, the World War I was considered, one of the largest wars, and it started in 1914 and went on for 4 years, and it ended in November 1918, okay. You can just note down the year, that much is taken up. Huh? No, this is not the dimensions, this is like just so what were the causes of World War I, anyone? What caused this World War I? Okay. So what caused this World War I is the conflict between this old imperialist countries like Britain, France, and the new imperialist countries, example Germany. So the history always says that Germany was actually the main main country that actually initiated this world war, but that was not entirely true, because the idea was, the capturing, the expand its territories basically. Every country had that, inside them to expand their territories. So before going to understand what actually happened, what is imperialism and what is colonialism? So these are the two important keywords, that we have to understand. It is closely related, imperialism and colonialism. So India was under, we tell it colonial rule, right? So what do you mean by colonialism? Capturing the countries and
making it as their colonies,
making them as their colonies.
expanding their territorial extent.
Huh. Okay. And then any answers, anything, any additions? Anusha, ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾ? Political control, yes, that is correct. And then others? So colony andre, basically they controlled the entire country. Okay, they had political control, like what you said, that is entirely true. In colonialism, we see that they had control over everything, that is trade and all of that. Okay, and people came and settled in the some parts of India. Like we see that French colony, right? In Pondicherry, we have this French colony. So actually, so many of the French people actually migrated and they stayed in that area, that is French colony. And if you go to this Portuguese colony, like in Goa, there was Portuguese colony, right? Portuguese controlled those. Some of the Portuguese people actually came here, settled here. So colonialism is basically, people control, and there is shift, that is migration happening. People come from there, they settle here also. So that is what colonialism is. And imperialism need not be the same. That is, basically the country is surrendering to some supreme country. Okay. For example, this Russia had the smaller countries control in the Eastern Europe, that is Slovakia and like Ukraine. That time they were all together, USSR, we call them as, we'll see what is USSR. So, those countries were, surrendered to the Russia, that is USSR, that time. So that means they did not entirely like control the whole regime over there, but they had the influence. Okay, they're influencing, like indirectly influencing. Colonialism is directly controlling. Imperialism is like, some indirectly, but still you are controlling them. It's like a small slight difference between colonialism and imperialism. Okay. Colonialism is like, a subset of imperialism. Okay. It comes under imperialism. So imperialism need not, migration is not necessary to happen. Still they can control. Like in African countries around, many countries were controlled by the European powers. They did not go and settle there, but still they controlled many countries over there. Okay, that is what we call it as imperialism. And as the, earlier, even before this World War I and all, it was Spain, Portuguese, Britain, they actually traveled around the world. If you go to this South America region, it was mainly controlled by this Spanish people, yes. Even today, you go to this Venezuela and other countries, they speak, Spanish only, because it was controlled by the Spanish people at that time. Okay, there was one treaty actually, the Portuguese came to this eastern side and the Spanish people went to the western side, right? Yeah. And then later on, the Britain and France, they started exploring, and Britain and France grew to greater heights than this Portuguese and Spain people. They became more stronger, and Britain controlled a lot of countries. They were the supreme then. That time there was no USA, no Russia, they did not have that much power. Britain had one of the strongest armies that time. They controlled a lot of countries, especially in the South Asia region, Southeast Asia region, even in Africa. Okay. Australia was also a colony of Britain. Okay, many of the British people actually settled down there in Australia. Even today they have this British slang of English only. Okay, there in Australia. So many countries were controlled. So that is what imperialism is. And this Germany, it was emerging, and it wanted to control, like, the Britain and France. It wanted power like how Britain and France had. They wanted to expand then. So that is why, the World War started. That was one of the reason, why the World War started. It's because of this Germany's will to expand its colonies. Okay, and the immediate cause was, this Austria. Yeah, so this is Austria. So one person, what is his name? Forgot his name. Francis Ferdinand. He was the Archduke. He was an Austrian, and he came to Serbia, and he was killed by the Serbian people. Okay, so that ignited a war. So Austria first attacked Serbia because that Archduke was killed. He was assassinated. So that is why Austria attacked Serbia, and Germany. That was the right time for Germany to support. So it supported Austria and Hungary. Okay, and then Russia came in support of Serbia. So this was the initial thing that happened. There was a very small cause, so which Austria attacked this Serbia, and Germany joined Austria, and Russia came in support of Serbia. Because these countries, Romania, Bulgaria, they were a part of this USSR. Okay, they were all in support of USSR only. So that is why Russia came. And then later on, it was joined by other countries like UK, that is Britain, they all joined. So we have two powers here. One is the central powers. So central powers mainly consisted of Germany, Italy, Austria, Hungary. And in Triple Entente, there was that we also call it as allies. So Britain, France and Russia were the main players here. So USA is still not in the picture. USA, in the beginning of the war, USA is still not into the picture. At the end of World War I, USA will actually enter. In 1917, what happens in Russia is, there was one revolution, Bolshevik revolution. I think this was discussed in world history. This Russian revolution was there, I remember. Okay, there was a revolution in Russia. Okay, that revolution weakened Russia. Okay, that revolution weakened Russia. So Russia, at the end of the World War, it started withdrawing from it. And then USA actually gave an entry during the last phases of the World War. So how it ended? They actually defeated Germany in this World War I. Germany was defeated by the this Triple Entente. So they defeated Germany, and Germany actually surrendered. And Germany had to pay this, the war money, what it was spent, Germany had to repay it to the countries. That was the treaty signed. Okay, that treaty is called as Treaty of Versailles. Okay, Treaty of Versailles. That ended the World War I. Okay. So Germany signed a treaty with Allies on June 1919. It was signed at Versailles near Paris. That is why we call it as Treaty of Versailles. And the leaders at that time, they were there, was from France, Britain, and Woodrow Wilson was the main person who actually made Germany to sign this treaty at that time, and also from Italy. So these leaders, they met at Paris, near Paris, and they signed this treaty which ended the World War I. So this time, Germany was defeated, and it felt humiliated by this defeat. And then, there was the rise of an important person in Germany. Yeah, Adolf Hitler. So he rose to power, and then he plays a major role in the World War II. Okay. So you can write this causes and just 2 words just to remember it. Should I go back? Have you all written it down or no? Okay. You can write this causes. Shall I go to the next slide? You've written this? Write down fast.
The two countries, like it is mentioned as joined in 1915. What does that mean?
So that means they joined the war later. Initially they were not there. Like initially Russia supported Serbia, then you know Romania started supporting this Russia bloc, okay, and then Bulgaria started supporting this Germany and Hungary. Done? Okay, so these are the consequences that happened. I told you the Russian Empire falls. There's a revolution that happens in Russia in 1917, right? So that time Russia actually becomes weak and like the empire falls, the Russian empire falls, and then they form this USSR. That is, they form other small countries like Slovakia and Bulgaria, and all of them together form this USSR. And USA emerges as a superpower at this time, because at the end of the World War I, they enter the war, they will become a superpower, and Japan also becomes powerful, because Japan in the Second World War, they play a major role. Japan was the reason, why USA actually comes into the Second World War. The Pearl Harbor attack. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ನೆನ್ಪು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್. ಮಂಜುನಾಥ್, actually, if you go very deep, there is so many other treaties and conferences that happen. I am not going in that deep. Just on the surface level, I am telling you, because you should have an idea of what happened in the world. That's it. In again, world history classes, you can have that in detail. I think World War only, it was taken around World War I and II, only 2 days it was done, I believe. Right? Right, Anusha? More than 2 classes? No, the weekend classes, no. It was, okay. Very huge. And though you will never open it again, no, that World War notes. Yeah, actually if you sit through the world history, then this will be easy. Others can get recordings if you want of world history, okay? What happened? Sound? Okay. Don't worry, once again the world history classes will be done. Okay, shall I finish writing, Rahul? So those who are writing this year, are you preparing? Rahul? First time you are writing, no, sumne bariyana anta. Lekika? Same. First time writing. Anusha also. Same. Others, you are not. Okay, you are just giving an attempt, like to know. Yeah. That is there. First time you should always write that, then only we'll get that idea. So even I wrote first time simply, like it was just 3 months I started my preparation, and then I just went and wrote. It felt very difficult because I didn't know the idea of even how to answer the question also. I didn't know at that time. Simply it's multiple choice question, something I can put and come. That is how I went the first time. I think for most of you, at least you have got idea of how to solve answers, right? Some of the answers, like that elimination technique and all of that. Try to implement that in the exam. Are you giving a no this year? Okay. So by the time you come to next year, you will be even more stronger. And there is news that KAS, another notification might happen. So you can give that also. Okay. That if you prepare. This interview is going on. Interview started on May 6th.
So after the announcement of the
You told mains, huh? You asked for mains results. Mains results was announced.
KAS at the time. KAS.
Huh? KAS. Mains results came.
Interview results also came.
No. That's what I am telling you. Interview is happening now.
So after that only.
Yeah, after that only. Yeah. KS ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. What they want right now is to finish that, complete that notification as soon as possible. because it was so many mishaps happened. It is too complicated. If it goes to court and all, it's like never ending. But some people have genuinely written and cleared, that is a hit back for them. See, whatever the truth is in state exams, there will be corruption. That is something that, it is out of reach to change. But there should be change in that also. It is because unfair for, so many aspirants who are like studied for so many years. That's not a right thing. But in every state, not only in Karnataka, if you go to any state, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, everywhere it is the same case. The corruption happens there. But the thing is, not all seats they can give it away, like, take money and give it away. So, at least some. But the thing, it is easier compared to UPSC, cracking UPSC, it is easier. You can, definitely all of you can clear prelims. With what you are studying now, preparing for the UPSC, you can easily clear the KS prelims.
But CSAT, we have to score with
KS, how it is actually, we don't have different cutoff. They combine both of the paper and have a one cutoff. Here we have one qualifying cutoff and one prelims GS paper cutoff. But in KS, what they do is combine both of the papers. So if you do well in paper 2, paper 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ನೀವು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಪೇಪರ್ 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಪೇಪರ್ 2 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಫಾರ್ 400 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟೋ 150 ಆ ಥರ ಕಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. And then category little down it comes. I think last time it was 150 or 158 was the cutoff was. So we could easily qualify. But the CSAT ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ entire paper will not be CSAT. In paper 2, some questions will be only the CSAT questions. The others they will ask from current affairs, Karnataka history, Karnataka geography. The paper 2 ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ Karnataka history, geography ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ CSAT questions, so ಅದನ್ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Paper 1 ನಲ್ಲಿ you have all this national issues, that is polity, everything will be asked in paper 1. Polity and geography, national geography and history, everything will be asked in paper 1. Paper 2 entirely focused on Karnataka current affairs, and the CSAT will be there. So that is how the pattern is in KS. And you don't have optional in this KS means. So that is kind of relaxing. So you don't have to worry. Before there was there, now they took off the optional. So 2 papers is less here. Only GS and essay will be there. You were asking something?
What about like international?
Very little. If there is something in news, that's what in paper 1 it will be there. The national news, whatever we study for UPSC news, no. So similar to that, some 1 or 2 questions from IR also they can ask. So not so much as they ask in deep into UPSC. It will be, prelims will be easier. Even the mains, the thing that happened this year was they had given more pages. Okay, so we practiced, having about 10 marks ke 2 pages. Like UPSC has that pattern only, 10 marks 2 pages and 15 marks we have 3 pages. So what this KS people did is they gave 3 pages for 10 marks question and 4 pages for 15 mark question. So whoever wrote the entire sheet of papers, here it matters, you have to write all of the, no blank sheet should be there in KS. The quantity matters, okay, over quality. No, crisp and short, it should be point wise and all you should write, that is there. But you have to fill the pages quality wise. Yeah, quantity over quality. But in UPSC, quality is important and quantity is also, you should make use of the 2 pages entirely even in UPSC. If you leave blank pages, they cut marks like simply. So that was one of the problems. For ethics, the booklet was 100 pages. 100 pages, that was like, KS. That was like too much, like, I don't know why they did that. But whoever had written that 100 pages, they have cleared the mains. Yeah. People have written full 100 pages. I mean, I couldn't complete writing all the 100 pages. So unfortunate. We were not prepared for that, or something happened. So anyways, that gave me an experience, okay, how to handle that kind of mind. You know, you'll not have the time to think anything over there, but you can, I'm pretty sure you can attend all the 20 questions that has been asked. But the thing is, the extra additional page that were there, I couldn't fill that basically, because we were in hurry to write all of the answers. Once you start writing, you know, you can't lift your head, see here and there, nothing like that can happen. Full 3 hours you will be there concentrated. And if you think that is like too much, it is not too much. Once you go there, you know, you will get into it, you will do that. Even in UPSC, you can do that. Just needs a little bit of practice. For mains, you need to practice the answers. That is the important thing. Even though if you see, nobody can read everything and go. That is impossible to do. You cannot study. Even for prelims, you cannot study everything and go. Everything you cannot remember certainly. It's about, you know, how you write the answers. That is all matters. So you have to practice any question that you see. You know, you should write an answer. You should prepare in such a way. Not okay, covering all of the subjects, all of the topics. If you leave 1 or 2 topics, because we never know from what he is going to ask. Question ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು assume ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So randomly they will ask questions. So any question that comes, you should be able to write. So stress on answer writing rather than completing the syllabus. I mean, syllabus knowledge ಇರಬೇಕು ಇದ್ರೇನೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಬರೀ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆನ್ಸರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ plays an important role. I mean, with writing this mains experience, I am telling you that. And why that format is there, no? The format helps you a lot, because you cannot write like essay kind of thing there. Point wise crisp agene irbeku, you have to underline the keywords, then it will give. And you know, the handwriting matters. If you somebody has a little bad handwriting, or if you're writing very small tiny words, adu kashta agate. So try to write bigger words. Okay. Yeah, the page, not too big also. Then the examiner will think, okay, sumne page fill madak doddag bardbididare anta. You should not make them feel that also. Okay, it should be in medium size. You know, always in that middle path. So they expect the civil servants to be in that middle path. Don't go extreme right or don't go extreme left.
How exactly the corruption because
Same on mic, it is recording. I hope this does not get. So what happens, people have contacts, people have influences, they give money.
no, like they read the paper or is it like completely different stories?
See, what I have heard is, not this time, the last KS exam that happened.
Just go write exam and come, rest of all will be taken.
No, the interview you still have to go.
So things will happen.
So what I have heard is, you know, that last year, like one of my friend, 2 of them had cleared, okay, the mains, and they were going to interview. They actually got a call that, you know, like, ನೀವು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಥರ, something like that. Yeah. But this time nothing sort of that happened. I didn't hear anyone actually calling anyone. So, yeah. But there are other ways also, influences, people who know in the committee and who controls that, who's there in the KPSC. No, that happens. You know, that exam, there was one exam, no, CTI. CTI also some issue had happened. Commercial tax inspector, that one exam they had called a few years, like 2 years back, I think. So, only corruption happened in the lower level, not those higher level. This what is lower level group C postally who are there, no, they actually took money. They have changed some answer sheets and all of that, because CTI is just prelims, like you just have to write, where there is only one exam for CTI, no mains or anything, only that OMR sheet will be there, based on that only. So they have corrected some of the sheets or something, some case was going on for that. Any exam you take, one case will be there followed by it. So all of you you will be writing, no, KS if it comes. All of you knows Kannada. What? Yeah. Anybody will write PSI? Aditya will write? Write all. Physical will be there first. Running. There's some, I think, 4 minutes they gave for 800 meters. I'm not sure. 2 minutes or something. 800 meters you have to run. I don't 2 minutes or 4 minutes, I don't exactly remember. And there will be high jump or long jump, one will be there that you have to play. Aditya, then you should be fit. That also there is. Yeah, that is there. I mean, chess, that height also. Are you tall enough? You check that. Manjunath. ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತಾರ. PSI ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ. IPS ಆದರೆ IPS. PSI, the problem is too much of, pressure will be there. Like too much pressure. The training itself is like very hectic PSI. Like one of our friend, she has cleared Chandrakala. She's in training right now. She had come to meet us like day before yesterday. So she was telling how intense the training is. She has lost a lot of weight. When she went, she was a different person. When she came, she's a different person now. And they wake you up at 5 o'clock until night 9 it will be there. And then they wake you up in the middle of the night for some reason. And so many some punishments will be there if you don't come on time and all. That part will be there everywhere. Even if you go to this IAS training also, then it will be there. You have to wake up at 5, you have to go do rounds. And if you don't shave properly for guys, for that also punishment will be there. So that it should not be seen in your beard. It should be perfect and your clothes should be ironed perfectly. Even there is a wrinkle, that also punishment will be there. So it will be, training will be intense. Any job you take, the training will be intense. So you should be ready for that. This is not the difficult part. I am telling you, the exam is not the difficult part at all. After clearing the exam is only comes the real difficult part. That is very challenging. Then this is just, like a teaser. The main picture is still waiting for you. Okay, let us go to World War II. So World War II, started from 1939 and it ended by 1945. And this time, 1942, we started in India. What was happening in 1942? Quit India movement was happening, and simultaneously so many things were happening in India also. Subhash Chandra Bose started this forward bloc and all of this during this World War time only. And he also took help from this Japanese people, that Manipur, he comes from that Manipur side. Modern history revision. So, the Second World War actually reshaped the entire global order. After this, everything, the Cold War started and the political ideologies, the economic landscapes, everything was altered by the Second World War. And the main reason was, the humiliation by the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler rose to power promising that he was going to regain all of the lost territories. Okay, he wanted to take back all of the territories that they lost during the First World War. And the immediate cause was, the Germany annexed this Poland, the Polish corridor that was there, which was actually, controlled by this Britain and France, like partially, okay. So there was a sudden attack on this Poland and they call it as lightning war. This triggered the World War II. This was the beginning. Okay, there were many other reasons, but from this point, the immediate cause was this attack on Poland. And then Britain, as soon as the attack on Germany attacked on Poland, Britain and France, they declared war on Germany. And then later all other countries started to join. I'm not going to go very in detail. And then Japan also, at that time I told you, after the end of the World War I, Japan became a little powerful, okay, and they started, what? Started manufacturing weapons. All of the countries, right, their defense grew immensely, and these were the countries that supported. So green color part you can see, no, that is basically allies. USA, Britain, France, and some, even India actually, that time because it was under Britain rule. So they indirectly supported Britain. In many African countries you see that green color, no, most of it were controlled by France and Britain only. Most of the African countries. That is why it is all green. And Australia was also a colony of Britain, so they were also supporting the Britain. So green part is all the allies are, and blue is, blue part you can see allies after the attack on the Pearl Harbor. They were not initially in the World War, but as soon as Japan attacked on the Pearl Harbor, that is USA, so then these people started supporting. And then black is the Axis power. Axis power, you can see it is only concentrated in this part, some of the regions here, and in Southeast Asia. Okay, this Axis powers where they had not so much of control, and Russia, they started with the Axis first, and then they shifted. Actually, in the Second World War, USA and Russia, they were on the same side. They were fighting on the same side. After the end of the World War, their ideologies were different, and that's what initiated this Cold War era. Okay. Grey were these neutral countries who did not support any of them. What, Aditya, you have? I'll tell you. Okay. Next nine. So allies is those Britain, France, they attacked Germany, no? Britain and France only first attacked Germany. So like they come under allies. USA, USSR, they're all allies only. Okay. I told USA and USSR fought on the same side in the World War II. And then Axis power were Germany, Italy and Japan. So these were the important countries in the Axis powers. And then leaders, if we come in Britain, it was Winston Churchill at that time, and Roosevelt was the president of USA, and Stalin was there in USSR. Italy, there was this person called as Mussolini. Mussolini was a leader in Italy at that time. Okay. And then what happened is, the Nazis were surrendered. Actually, Hitler, as soon as he gets to know that he's weakening, he commits suicide. He died by suicide, Hitler, is what is the news is. We don't know exactly what happened to Hitler, but yeah, he died by suicide, and Nazis' power, became weaker. And then they initially it ended, and then Japan, who were fighting on the Axis side, so after this Pearl Harbor attack, then USA attacks Japan. That is, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, atomic bomb. The first ever atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and it completely devastated. Japan was completely like onto grounds at that time. And after that event, Japan also surrendered because they wanted peace. A big impact was happened during Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay. Have you seen this movie that came, the atomic Oppenheimer? Robert J. Oppenheimer. He was the brain behind it. It's like a 3-hour long movie, but it is good, like how they actually build those atomic bombs, nuclear weapon. Huh? Yeah, he regretted because so many lives were, killed during those atomic bomb droppings. So he felt he was, but anyhow, now most of the countries have nuclear weapon, and we have to live in that fear of, okay, what happens next, what happens next. Even India has a nuclear power, right? You guys know that. They did this test also, nuclear test. Operation Laughing Buddha they called, during Vajpayee time. Okay. So this is how Germany surrendered, and Japan also surrendered after that attack. So that ended the World War II. This is like just a brief I am giving, not in detail. So many things are there I am skipping because world history you can sit and listen that. So after that what happened? United States and the Soviet Union, that is USSR, they rise as the superpowers and decolonization happens. That is Britain, whatever the countries they controlled, they started giving independence. Many of the countries after the World War II got independence, including India, Pakistan, all of that, and some countries in Africa also they gained independence after this World War II. And creation of United Nations, UN was created. Actually during the war, after the World War I, there was another body that was created called as League of Nations. Okay, that is, it is a predecessor of UN. Before UN there was League of Nations, ಅದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ to bring peace in the world, and UN also with the same, that League of Nations became weakened, and they, instead of League of Nations, they formed this United Nations. And after the World War II, the Cold War era began between USA and USSR. Okay, you can write this down and then we'll notice something. This you can just write, the overview is not required, you just write the timeline, that is 1939 to 1945. Go to next one.
I have a question, like, not related to this, but like Britain, like they occupied so many colonies, right? So that, like, how did they get so much money, like initially for the starting start of
How they got money
yeah,
to
like,
initially.
yeah, to get so many colonies and
So Britain was like, they had
very
this
small population, right?
very small population, but they had money. The king and queen, they had this monarchy at that time. So they initially funded this, this like what is that? These traders basically. They funded the traders. Who comes to India, that East India Company. They were merchants, right? They were basically merchants. So what they did, they initially sent their merchants, okay. They started exploring the world. They came, they sailed all the way through Africa and then came to the Asian countries. They started, their initial aim was only trade. Okay, initially their aim was only to have the trade. So in India also initially when they come, they do only trade at the beginning. If you see in modern history also, the British people, they do trade in the beginning. Later on, you know, they grew, okay, they eliminate this French power and also the authority in India, who were there, the Mughals were there at that time. So they ended those power and they started controlling entirely. So by doing this trade only, their economy grew, okay. So not only in India, in other colonies also, they started trading first. Because of the trade, their economy grew. They used to get this cheaper products in other countries. They used to take it to their country, sell it at a higher price. So that's how, and some part of it has to be gone to the monarchy. They had to pay revenue and all of that, no? So that's how they grew.
Basically, monarchy, like, they support, they had the money and they supported.
Yeah, they supported, yeah. Even in Spain also, they supported this merchants who were there, you know, and Portugal, that Vasco da Gama comes and all of that. Their country supported that time to let them go and all of that, explore. No. Hmm? Shall I go? Yeah. This you have not written, no? Done? Aditya? Consequence. So done, let us take a small break. Okay. Huh? Yeah. I mean, other countries, Britain started giving, Britain and France also, they started giving independence. Come back by 12:05, 12:10. So next we'll start with this Cold War. Okay. So how this Cold War started. So I told you initially like the USA and Russia, they were on the same side, fighting against the same side. But after, as soon as the war ended, what happened? The Germany was surrendered, right? The Germany was surrendered to this allies. So what happened? The Germany was divided as East Germany and West Germany. Okay. So the West Germany along with this Western European countries were a part of this USA. They supported USA basically. And you can see this side, that Eastern European countries, they became part of Russia, and even the Germany was, you know, divided for Russia also. And they built something called as a Berlin Wall. You have heard of this? Berlin Wall was built. The city was basically divided into two. The entire Germany was divided into two. And this, you know, they call it as Iron Curtain. Okay, Iron Curtain. Especially between this Germany, the wall which was there, they referred to it as Iron Curtain. And then no information must be passed from this side to that side. That is from the Western Germany to the Eastern Germany. Nothing, no contact ever. So it divided people. It divided the people of Germany only. Germans were not, like, you know, actually happy with what had happened. But since Germany had surrendered, they had no option. So some parts of Germany, they supported Russia, some parts they became a part of this US led Western Europe.
Who built this, like this demarcation?
The both of this, yeah, like
The initiative only happened.
Russian side, they wanted to build that wall, okay, the Berlin. And at the end of the Cold War, they actually, you know, broke this wall. The partition was broken down, and then it that led to the liberation of this Germany. Okay, no longer it was controlled by either Russia or USA. Then Germany was on its own after that. They broke that wall and they regained this republic in their Germany. So there was one important thing why, you know, the USA and the Russia, you know, they differ so much is the ideological, especially their political and ideological thinking, the economic stand. So as we see, the USA was a capitalist economy, right, and USSR was a communist economy. So what is a capitalist economy? You have learnt this, right? What is capitalism, what is communism? Yes or no? You have heard of these words, right?
I mean, there's people like investing in the country.
You are telling?
Capitalist.
Huh?
More focused on religion or something like that.
Huh.
They are more into business finance.
Huh. They are more into business. That means, okay, what of all of you are telling is right only the points, but how we put it across it, you know, they are open to this private entities. They have this private driven market. That is what capitalism stays for. Investments comes from private companies. The state is not, state in the sense I am telling the country, we refer it as state also. State is not actually producing everything. There are other players who are responsible for producing things and selling it, and they make profits out of it. Okay, this is what happens in a capitalist economy. Okay, the market economy is mainly controlled by this private entities. Whereas when you come to communism, all the companies, all the manufacturing units is owned by the state. State only produces it, state only distributes it to the people. So that is what we call it as communism. Communism and everything is state owned.
Everything is government owned.
Yeah, everything is government owned. So everything, all the production is controlled by the government. So why, why there should be this capitalist or communism? Why this idea of communism initially came? So most of you, I have attended this sociology classes, right? Adali, you talk about this Karl Marx and all. Nenpidya, Manjunath. So why should we have communism? Why they stressed on communism so much? What happened in capitalism that they didn't like?
Because, I mean, capitalism, the main motive is that they want to make profits and they want to make money for themselves, right?
Make profits. Huh.
And Adali ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ like ಇದಾಗ್ಬೋದು,
So there is concentration of wealth in the capitalist economy, right? Capitalist economy ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗೋ chances ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ the wealth will be concentrated with a particular people. See, if we see India only, 80% of the wealth is concentrated in the top, 2%, 3% people. 80% of the wealth, and then the rest all, they don't have so much wealth. Like in India, we see poverty is still there, right? So that concentration of concentration of wealth happens in capitalist economy. So that is opposed by this communist leaders. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ವೆಲ್ತ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ದ ಐಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಮ್ಯುನಿಸಮ್. ಓಕೆ, at that time when Cold War starting ಅಲ್ಲಿ USSR will be controlled by a person called as Stalin, right? He supported this communism. So that's why USSR, they went towards the communism, that concentration of wealth should not happen. Everybody should have equal access to everything. So that is the main ideology of communism. Even in India, we have this so many communist parties still, right? If you go to Kerala especially, Kerala still they believe in this communist, but this election now they changed. Last 10 years it was communist party only, but this year UDF led Congress party came into power, right? Even in Tamil Nadu there is communist party, but a very less in number. But Tamil Nadu dynamics has changed so much right now after the new elections that happened. I think this is the high drama political scenario that happened in this year. Nothing can beat what happened in Tamil Nadu. So the DMK broke into pieces, and now the new I don't know what the people of Tamil Nadu were thinking, but okay, let us see what Vijay will do. But this way too risky when I felt, because a person who does not have any political people say that they want change of power. That is right. In democracy we should always have a change of power. If power is with only one party, what happens, it becomes authoritative. Okay, and the opposition becomes weak. So then who will actually ask questions to the government? Then slowly India will turn into, Russia. Russia, that is what the current scenario in Russia is, that they have an authoritative republic. That means they are republic, they are not communist government anymore. They are a republic, but it is controlled by one party only. That is authoritative. The opposition is very weak, submissive opposition we call it as. So that should not happen in the case of India. That is what I actually pray for. That is why we need change of powers. Any party it might be, there should be change of power. Then only opposition can ask questions to the government. Asking questions is the basis of democracy, that people should have the voices. If that is suppressed, then the political scenario in India feels scary to me right now. what happens the another next 5 years, you know, if we see the same party coming in power. See, I'm not supporting any party over here, like staying politically neutral is important. But the power should not be concentrated in one party. That is what I believe in. That I'm like happy with, okay, now DMK was there for, you know, almost 10 years now. There is a change of party and we'll see how that person will do. Right? Then people still have another 5 years, you can vote and elect a new government altogether. People should give chances probably. But still the economy of Tamil Nadu might go down a little bit, that people will realize because people have only voted, right? So we'll see. I'm like very excited for this. Now he is taking oath today. He got all their support from the government. They got the majority now. We have no this JDS. That is like a little very small concentration because of Deve Gowda only. It is still there. Huh? No leaders, proper leader. What we saw that Revanna and family, what happened? That was a downfall. And after Deve Gowda, till Deve Gowda is there, a party respect irate. After he passes away, then that will also they'll lose it. I know what Kumaraswamy will do now. He started supporting Congress. NDA. He started supporting NDA. It is like totally different. You know, the JDS is a secular party. The name itself is that they are a secular party, but they have joined NDA. The ideology name match agala, but still because ministry beko, he wanted to become an MP, so they joined, and he's still in power. We also need change. Bring back Prajakya or this Upendra. But ashtu strong agi, I don't think people of Karnataka will vote Upendra. Like how they did in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, they have this crazy fan base. You know, in Karnataka, that is not. There are fans. You know, people. So many had Puneeth Rajkumar, especially, so much fans for him. But if Puneeth Rajkumar had stood for election, he wouldn't have got votes in Karnataka. I'm telling. But Tamil Nadu, they are crazy people. I feel. Even if Rajinikanth would have stood for election, they would have voted because that crazy fan base they have there. You know, I don't know. Like, and even in Andhra Pradesh, Pawan Kalyan. His party won very little seats, but still he got some control. He has become deputy CM and all of that. But downfall was that they joined NDA again. That was not a great move.
It's a new state, right? They wanted center support to build the capital and everything. So that was why.
Yeah, that is what the new capital they wanted. Yeah, that's the reason they started supporting. Yeah. Yeah. The devolution of. And then West Bengal elections, you saw that Mamta's party, full downfall, the NDA came there also. But after NDA came, you know, they needed change, definitely. Whatever the TMC was doing was not great in West Bengal. But then what after they did is they're like now vandalizing things and all of that. It felt scary seeing that vandalism, that tearing posters, destroying all of these things that is built by TMC. That's a little concerning. And but Assam was peaceful election. Kerala was very peaceful. Congress came majority, so they're like okay, nothing drama happened there. But drama West Bengal and Tamil Nadu only we saw so much drama. Tamil Nadu last 5 days though it was full on. Whoever you know actually follows this politics and all, it is enjoyable. Huh? That she wants to become CM, but now she can't become the CM still because she didn't stand for elections, right? Only MPs, but she's indirectly. You're telling that she's indirectly controlling. She has come today for the ceremony.
Actually, Congress and BJP were not part of Tamil Nadu till now, and now Congress has got this access into Tamil Nadu. So
But what Congress did was very bad politics in Tamil Nadu. That's not. See, we need a strong opposition, and the opposition is not strong. That is the reason that NDA is, being so much, authoritative. Like, because the opposition is not strong. Definitely, opposition is not strong in India. Yeah, freebies. That's what I told you. The economy of. That's what freebies will always affect the economy. Even when Karnataka gave freebies, no, that was it. Freebies is always the bad part for the economy, as we see in economic aspect, because the state will go into debt then, because they have to give this freebies, it will go into debt. We are diverting from Cold War. We went to the politics of Tamil Nadu. Okay. I was talking about communism and capitalism. So that was the ideology that was built on. And after this, there was one doctrine that USA gave, okay, something called as Truman Doctrine. So what that doctrine, if communist countries, if they started spreading communism to other European countries, then, most countries will not support USA, right? So USA bought this Truman Doctrine that no country should, they should not persuade other countries to change into communism. If they do that, if Russia or the USSR tries to do that, then USA will provide this military economic support to those countries. So that was like the first step where the Cold War, erupted. That is, USA strongly opposing the communism. Due to that, Truman Doctrine, it strongly opposed the communism. Okay. And then there was another plan that was led by USA again, called as Marshall Plan. So what Marshall Plan did, during the two world wars happened, the Europe was entirely destroyed, because most of the war happened in the Europe region. And this Marshall Plan led by USA, they gave financial assistance for the European countries to rebuild everything. So that is why most of the Western European countries were with USA due to this Marshall Plan. Two main things, one is Truman Doctrine, and the other one is Marshall Plan. Okay. And apart from this, there was this arms race between USA and the USSR. They started building the defense very strongly. The defense right now, USA and Russia has the great defense system in the world because of the Cold War era, because one wanted to be powerful, right? So both of them invested so much on technology, on defense and everything. They built so many defense technologies at that time during the Cold War time. And another thing was this space race. They wanted to be supreme in the space also. And USA that time only they sent this Apollo mission. That the first person landed on moon, but still many people feel that it is a hoax. It was not true. Because of this space race, USA actually staged that. Actors na karkombandi, they just staged the entire moon landing anta. The people still believe that USA did not actually land on the moon at that time. So there is many theories saying that it is not true, but space sector also, both USA and Russia grew at that time, because having that technology, the satellite technology is very important. So that's how the GPS and all came into existence. That time they spent more on that. Okay, that was there. And then towards the end of 1990s, what happened? Before, in 1980s, there was this economic downfall. All the countries, they become economically weaker, and Russia also had spent so much on this arms and so much on the space sector, their economic became weak. So in 1991, what happened? All of these countries which were a part of USSR, they became separated. They formed their own countries, and Russia became separate. So this was the end of Cold War. That is what happened. They got separated. And then there was two important So this was actually how the Berlin Wall was constructed. Some part was controlled by French, British, America, because all of them fought against Germany, right? So they divided Germany equally, and this part was controlled by Soviet. And then they actually broke that wall, and Germany got liberated. So after the end of the World War, this NATO and Warsaw Pact came into consideration. So what happened is that this blue color part was the NATO part, that is US led, and all the red, the USSR countries, they formed this Warsaw Pact. NATO, they have this motto, attack on one state is considered as an attack on all of those states. That is the motto that they have. If one country is being attacked, then all of the state will come and support that country. So that is the reason, the war erupted between Russia and Ukraine at that time, because Ukraine wanted to join NATO, and Russia does not want NATO in its doorsteps, because it is very risky for Russia. Then USA can easily attack Russia. So that is the reason Ukraine wanted to join NATO and Russia opposed that. That was one of the reasons that Russia and Ukraine madhye war ಆಗಿದ್ದು. And even these countries you can see, Sweden and Finland, initially they were not a part of NATO, now they have become a part of NATO. That is also, actually Sweden got a threat from Russia. If they join NATO, then Russia will attack Sweden. But still the Sweden joined NATO now. There was no attack, but Sweden and Finland both are part of NATO now. These two grey countries have joined. So Ukraine is here somewhere. So this was the two military pacts it is. Both Warsaw Pact and NATO are military pacts, entirely military. There was one question asked on NATO also. They had given a statement that NATO is political and a military pact or something like that. But NATO is completely focused only on military. No political or economical, nothing. It's basis the whole multilateral treaty that has been made for the military. If Russia attacks any one of the NATO countries, all of the NATO countries will support them. So that is the motto that they have. So this is about NATO and Warsaw Pact. And 1991, the USSR breaks down and Russia became separate. That was the end of the Cold War era. Okay. So this is the basics. You can write some points about it. I'll just you can just write the USA and USSR. Cold War. Cold War anta heading barkondu just write it down. USA and USSR had very different vision. For the post-war world. Post-war world. The US wanted, next point, the US wanted to spread democracy and capitalism. While USSR sought to expand its communist ideology and influence. Sought to expand its communist ideology and influence. Under President Truman, under President Truman, the US adopted a containment policy. US adopted a containment policy to curb Soviet expansionism, to curb CURB, curb Soviet expansionism, escalating Cold War tensions, escalating Cold War tensions. Next point, Berlin's bifurcation, Berlin, that is Germany, Berlin's bifurcation was considered as a potent symbol, potent, P-O-T-E-N-T, potent symbol of superpower, rivalry, between US and USSR, between US and USSR. Marshall Plan initiated by US Secretary of State George Marshall. Offered substantial financial assistance to help rebuild war-torn Europe, financial assistance to help rebuild war-torn Europe, but the underlying goal was to prevent the spread of communism. Next you write NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. established in 1949 as a military alliance of Western democracies, led by US. It states that an attack on one member would be considered an attack on all. Next you write Warsaw Pact. Formed in 1955 as a response to NATO. It aims to one second, before that you write, it was a collective defense treaty. After response to. It is a collective defense treaty between Soviet Union and its Eastern European satellite states. It aimed to maintain Soviet dominance in the region. In the region. The next last point, the Cold War ended with the dissolution of Soviet Union in 1991, resulting in the emergence of 15 newly independent nations. Resulting in the emergence of 15 newly independent nations. The Soviet Union transformed into Russian Federation Russian Federation no longer led by a communist regime. Soviet Union transformed into Russian Federation, no longer led by a communist regime. Regime. Next you write India and Cold War. That is India's response to this Cold War. India and Cold War. Okay, I will make you write that. Before that I will explain this. So 1947, 1947 we got independence, right? That was the beginning of the Cold War era also. So India, was under the British rule for, almost 200 years, okay, 100 years exactly. Before that, it was not directly controlled by the Queen. It was controlled by this, so 1 century almost, it was under the colonial era. So what happened during that time was India was into poverty. When we got the independence, India was, still very young, but we had enormous problems economically, politically, and people. There was so much of poverty, illiteracy. People had no jobs. There was huge unemployment when India got independence. It was a very risky that time, but Nehru became the first prime minister at that time. So, which was already suppressed under one country, India did not want to support either of the country at that time. They wanted to be independent. So it supported, if it supported USA, then it had to listen what USA had to say, right? All this 100 years we were listening to Britain. So no longer we want to listen to someone else dictating what dictating our decisions, right? Whatever as a country we will take the decisions. They were tired of taking instructions from other countries. So what India did is we remain independent. We are no longer supporting any other country. We are not even supporting Russia. We remain independent. We will make our own decisions. So that is what the stand that India took right after the independence. Okay, and Jawaharlal Nehru. So the foreign policy started from this independence. So at that time, India and China were in talks. There were some issues between India and China, and together India and China came up with this Panchsheel principles. Okay, Panchsheel principles. So in the Panchsheel there were 5 points, important points, and this was our basis of foreign policy. This India, China together put forward this Panchsheel, but this was a basis of how we conduct with other countries as well. So the first point is mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. What do you mean by sovereignty? Freedom to take our own decisions. That means territory ke we respect. We are not going to come inside your territory, and we will support your sovereignty. Then mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs. So India at that time was very considerate that no country should come and do our internal affairs. We are enough capable of doing that on our own. So that was one of the important points. And then equal and mutual benefit working relationship. That is, we should have a relationship which should benefit both of the countries, right? And then mutual non-aggression. That is, nobody is attacking anybody. So this initially was between India and China, but this took for all other, it applied to all other countries also. And then peaceful coexistence. We should coexist peacefully. So these were the 5 principles that was brought under Jawaharlal Nehru on this India-China, but it started the basis of our foreign policy, and we call it as Panchsheel principle. And in Cold War situation, the stand on Cold War was India did not want to support either USA or USSR, and there were many countries, you know, that were decolonized at that time. After World War II, I told you many countries were decolonized, many African countries also, and it supported those countries and it opposed them joining any one of the bloc. So it supported saying that, like for example, South Africa. India wanted South Africa also to remain independent basically, because they were also under colonial rule. They didn't want to go through that. So India supported that also. So that came with that, you know, we come up with something called as non-alignment movement. So NAM, next I will talk about that. So you clear here, India stand in the Cold War situation and this Panchsheel principles. So let us make a note of that. India adopted a twofold response to the Cold War. Firstly, India maintained distance. India maintained distance from both alliances. India maintained distance from both alliances. And refrained from joining them. Refrained from joining them. Secondly, India voiced its opposition. To newly decolonized countries. Becoming part of these alliances. So next you can write foreign policy under Jawaharlal Nehru. The word Panchsheel, next you can write the word Panchsheel under foreign policy under Jawaharlal Nehru. Under this you write the word Panchsheel were used to govern the personal behavior of Indian monks as described in the ancient Buddhist scriptures. ancient Buddhist scriptures. Under Nehru, this idea became a central theme, guiding the relationship among the international states. Guiding the relationship among the international states. The same principle was proposed to govern India-China relationship. The same principle was proposed to govern India-China relationship. The five principles are mutual respect. First one, mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Mutual non-aggression, Can you all see from that? Is it visible? You can write those principles. You wrote already? What?
Mutual non-aggression. So it means like not so-
Is aggression means basically attacking.
Okay.
You know, external aggression we call, no? It's basically attacking. So which article it comes, that emergency, non-war or non-aggression, external aggression, sorry. Which article? 365, yeah? War or external aggression, national emergency on war or external aggression. No. Others, polity class you attended, no? National emergency article. No. 356 is not national emergency. It is President's rule. 352 is national emergency. Okay? On the grounds of war or external aggression. Okay? 356 is President's rule. So there was a possibility of President's rule in Tamil Nadu now because of the hung assembly, right? If there is hung assembly, then President's rule can be imposed. So, but somehow they got majority now. If there is what happens if no party cannot form a government with majority, then what happens, it will come under president's rule and the central government, basically takes the authority over it until, new fresh elections should be conducted within 6 months in that case if there is hung assembly. And then article 360 is financial emergency. Okay, remember these articles. Emergency alli tumba questions keltare, and especially this 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. There were many amendments made to this emergency part. The internal disturbance na armed rebellion anta they changed the word. So that is under 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. So amendment acts also polity alli you have this Lakshmikant textbook, right? At the end they have given all of the amendments. Okay, not all amendments are important, but 42nd Amendment Act, that is very important. 44th is very important. Then all the new amendments that has come, like from 95 or from 90 also, it is important. From 90 in the yavyad amendments, new amendments has come. Now they gave that reservation in Lok Sabha, right? Yeah, delimitation land. So now that was not passed in Lok Sabha. They wanted to alter this according to the census data, but they couldn't do it. It was not passed in the government because it needed what majority? Because it needed a special majority, that is 2/3 of the members, 2/3 of the total membership of the house plus half of the state ratification. That did not happen. They did not get 2/3 majority only. So that was not passed. The delimitation, I don't know what will happen next for that. But they should have given, the reservation now only based on the MP seats that they have now. But that will become, they are increasing the MP seats to almost 800 or something. 850, yeah, 850. Yeah. So if that happens, the south states will not have a voice. Because south states, they are gaining only very few seats. Because the population is less in south compared to Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and all of those states. So we'll get only like 5 or 6 seats extra or something like the Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. Now that is the reason when this government was elected in Andhra Pradesh. He told that, the CM told that we have to make more kids, and they promoted that when he became if you remember. Yeah, they are offering money that make more. We want to increase the population of our Andhra Pradesh state. So that happened. So, but we are doing a very good job here. Like all the southern states, they are controlling the population and the literacy level is going up. So it is like a loss situation for us if the delimitation comes into effect. But all of the northern states, their population is increasing and no increase in literacy, no birth control mechanism only there. So, my God. Then we lose. Then, any bill that has to be passed, it can be easily passed, because if northern state, they support the central government, then they easily can pass all of the bills. So that it's a good thing that it did not get passed. They should come up with something even more better version. But what they coined it as, we are giving, the opposition is not with the women's reservation. So they coined it like that. They're against the women. See, nobody is against the women reservation here. That should be done. So obviously the women should get reservation in Lok Sabha. That is supported. But unfair to the Lok Sabha is not, for the southern states is not right. Right? So follow all of this. The question will be asked. See, definitely they might ask a question on delimitation. In 2024, they had asked a question. How many delimitations has happened in independent India? So there was 4 times the delimitations has happened. So they had given the option as 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 4 was the right answer. So the questions can come like that. They can, because that was there in the news, they can definitely ask about that bill. They can ask about delimitation. who conducts this delimitation, how census is conducted, census conduct mada body yavdu. So questions will come from that. They link, that is what linking the current affairs and the static part. Okay. So all of you wrote this Panchsheel principles. There is something there. Okay. Next is this non-alignment movement. So non-alignment movement was conceived by these 5 leaders. You know, Jawaharlal Nehru from India, Abdul Nasser from Egypt, Sukarno from Indonesia, and from Ghana. I don't know how to spell that. Excuse me for that. And Joseph Tito from Yugoslavia. So these 5 leaders, you know, see, you can see all of these countries, Yugoslavia, they were part of USSR. They were suppressed in the USSR regime. And India, Egypt was also controlled. And then Indonesia under this Britain again. Britain, France, and some parts of it was Britain, France were controlled. So they didn't want to, you know, join again the situation was the same. They didn't want to support either of the Cold War blocks, that is USSR or USA. So that is why they formed this non-alignment movement. Okay. You can write down non-alignment movement. Was conceived by those 5 people. You write down the names. All of you wrote? The first summit of NAM, was held in NAM, non-aligned movement, NAM, was held in Belgrade, Belgrade, B-E-L-G-R-A-D-E. Belgrade, it is capital of Serbia. There it was held in 1961. In 1961. NAM was a group of newly independent states that refused to accept the dictates of former colonial masters and decided to act according to their own judgment on the issues of international concern. On the issues of international concern. So even today the India kind of follows this non-alignment ideology, right? When USA attack this Iran, it cannot directly say USA to it cannot support USA in doing that because we have good relation with Iran. We are building a port in Iran. So Iran, we have this military defense treaty also. Okay, we have so many technology transfer from Iran also. So if we support Israel or USA, then Iran will become our enemy. So during this LPG crisis also, Iran actually let some ships that were coming towards India, right? That is because India is having that relationship with Iran. Okay, India can tell USA to stop the war, right? But it cannot support Iran also, it cannot support the USA also. And even during the Russia-Ukraine war, they took a central stand. They told Russia to stop the war and did not support USA that time. USA sought India help to to counter this Russia. Why didn't the before that it's already I am see the focus was on the oil and gas prices, okay, so that actually went up. And in India, in most of the countries, in USA and all, the oil prices went up per barrel, okay, but in India it did not go up. The petrol price was still the same, and LPG price, only the commercial LPG price it hit, not the domestic one, right? It was more focused on this oil and gas supply, and gold did not. It was already still 15,000 now the gram is. I don't know who can afford so much. Buying 8 grams is only, it's like more than a lakh now. Yeah. And why petrol prices didn't go up in India? Not elections actually. Actually, India is already selling at a higher price. Huh? Just that is very small, no. Small rise. If you go to Nepal, actually, the petrol price is only like 68 or something. Huh? Bhutan, Nepal, yeah. Because here in India, what they're doing, they're already selling at a higher price. If during this uncertain times, volatile times, what happens? They have already this buffer profits. They have already made, this oil companies are already in profit. If they increase more, it will impact, all other prices will go up. The food prices, everything will go up, it will impact the economy. So they have this buffer price already, they are in profit. If some loss happens during this volatile times also, they can manage. So that is why India has kept the oil prices at very high, like petrol, diesel is high compared to our neighbor countries, especially. It will not sustain, but the economy is also like that, global world order is also like that. It does not depend only on India, because it depends on how we procure that oil also. That is why the focus is now to shift on EV. They are investing so much in solar, especially. Solar, PM Surya Ghar, so many investments have been done in solar. And we also have this targets in this. I know, they use I know it. For producing EV, we use more oil than actually we can use this petrol, diesel engines only. But the thing is, slowly we should transition, right? So if we produce this energy for EVs from renewable sources, then our dependence on this fossil fuels will go down. So initially, if the technology will slowly improve. At one shot, we cannot directly become cleaner energy, right? So that is the reason we should invest in EV right now. Maybe in another 10 years, we can shift entirely on the renewable energy. So if you get actually fuel from this renewable energy and run these EVs, that will be more greener. But I don't see any of that happening in any of the countries. They just, pledge that we should spend so much on environmental issues and all of that. But none of the countries are doing that in the right way. The carbon emissions are still going up and up and up. And the global warming is hitting. See how the summer was. The rainfall is getting very shorter. And the Arctic ice is melting. So many issues in the world. So let us stop it here for today, and I'm leaving little early only. I had prepared only for this much for today's class. So let us continue next week. Next week I think you'll have 2 days also, and then after that is the exam week, right? So then you will have all, because most of you are writing the exam, right? You are writing? You. So Sunday we cannot have exam. Maybe Saturday also, Sunday we cannot have class anyway. Saturday also I'll see. Probably will not have class that weekend because of the exam. Okay, next weekend it will be there. Saturdays it will be only 3 hours. You guys know, no? Like from 2 to 5. Okay, Sunday I will try to, depends on how we complete, how much I have prepared. So I'll see you guys in the next week. Any doubts? All of you understood Kirtana? Yes. Okay, Abhishek? Manjula? Everything clear? Okay. Manjunath? Boring agitna? Lekika was, very, not very talkative today. Okay. You understood but everything. Tejas. Okay. So thank you all. I'll see you next week.